Spider-Man 4 news. John Wick 5's in development. Mickey 17 was great. But also, was Daredevil Born Again episode 3? We're going to get all into it in tonight's episode of the Double Feature Podcast. Welcome back, everyone. Welcome back to another episode of the Double Feature
most consistent
podcast. The most consistent podcast ever.
The platform.
And just, side note and a quick disclaimer. We will be gone for the next 2 weeks. And so, on the channel, if stuff drops within the next rest of the month of March, pretty much.
Yeah.
And you don't see us cover it, we will get to it. We just obviously haven't been back yet.
Or it probably just doesn't matter, honestly.
Or that. It's probably not big enough. We'll have like these clips from this podcast uploaded during the couple weeks. So, if you tune into this completely, I guess, we don't mind it if you missed out on the clips. But we do got some trailer reactions up. But yeah, just a disclaimer in case you think we disappeared. But if you guys are new to this and this is your first time watching this podcast here on this channel, please do us a favor, like this video, of course, and subscribe, because we cover this type of content every single week. And do not forget to click that bell, that way you're notified. But we got 4 topics today, ranging from big news to pretty expected news. And before we get into it, obviously you guys can follow us on social media, like Threads, Instagram, TikTok, Twitter. It's right there. Our handles are right there. And also you can send in a question that we will absolutely answer during the podcast or the next podcast episode with the link down at the bottom of the screen. But we're here. We're going to go ahead and get into the first topic.
Okay.
Sadie Sink has officially been cast in the upcoming Spider-Man 4.
Feels like every time we get Spider-Man 4 news, it's like so out of nowhere on random time on a random day.
And then it's like avalanche of just stuff. And I'm interested how this entire era is going to go. Considering Tom Holland's obviously filming the Odyssey right now.
We're in phase 6 now, right?
Are we?
I believe we're in phase 6. I believe we are. I might be wrong. I believe we are, though.
I think so.
With the Thunderbolts, starting with the Thunderbolts. And
no, phase 6 starts with Fantastic Four, I think. Or phase 7. Whichever is the next phase, it starts with
it starts with Thunderbolts. No, it starts with Thunderbolts. I'm pretty sure it starts with Thunderbolts.
Did they change that?
I think they might have. I'm pretty sure it starts with, from the last time I saw, I'm pretty sure it was Thunderbolts. I could be wrong. But really wonder what, it clearly seems like they have a plan that they want to execute for this phase, which I can appreciate. Because before this phase, there was no plan.
Phases.
It kind of felt like, if you're being honest, in a weird way, kind of felt like the beginning of the MCU, like random one-off.
Except you
movies.
didn't get to see Tony Stark in 2 movies back to back. We got to see Shang-Chi
or Nick Fury
never see him again.
Movies. Yeah, like it makes me wonder what their real plans are here, and I could just appreciate the fact that they have a plan for this phase. It seems like you have to, and again, it's kind of like the Infinity Saga. They didn't really have a clear, concise plan for the Infinity Saga until they went, let's do the Infinity Saga.
Yeah.
Then I feel like once they formulated that, I felt like all the movies and stuff that came before the Infinity Saga, they planned into it. And I feel like that's kind of what's happening here. The way Civil War was planned into the Infinity Saga, the way Guardians
showed up in each other's projects.
No, that's
made it so connected.
That's neither here nor there.
Thor, or when you see Doctor Strange in Thor Ragnarok, or Ant-Man, or Falcon and Ant-Man.
Who says that can't be the case with this phase? You see Bucky in Captain America. He's probably gonna be
after Endgame. Other than what?
In Thunderbolts?
Marvel, in the Marvels, I think she's the only person to jump from show to movie. We're not counting Kate Bishop, because she's just an extension of Miss Marvel's appearance.
Nope. Falcon as well. What do you mean?
No. But
Or
he
Captain
he debuted before the show.
Got you.
I'm talking about
Okay.
started from the show
Got you.
going into movies. Like Ms. Marvel's like the
Yeah, that's
only
kind of
one.
that's.
Rough.
I feel like that's kind of where Marvel put themselves in a sticky position
It's
because
just
if
all
you
these
want to
shows.
include one of those shows, and it's not even the fact that there's an issue with including them. It's just you get yourself in a little bit of a predicament when you want to like introduce a character in a show that nobody's going to watch, and then try thinking about putting that character in another movie that nobody's gonna know who,
Where
like
this character came from.
again, you can put Echo in the Marvels. Great. You get your Tony Stark in multiple movies moment, but how many people know who Echo is? Right? So it's like it's kind of this weird thing. But again, I can appreciate that like Thunderbolts is if it really just feels like a lot of this setup into Spider-Man 4 and into Doomsday and Secret Wars and stuff, it feels more connected than honestly anything since Endgame. Like personally, like it feels like the MCU again. At one point it just didn't. It felt like at one point it just felt like Disney Plus.
I don't know how much the Thunderbolts will be part of that because I it just doesn't look like the type of movie that
I think Bucky and Yelena will have something to do as far as the future goes for Secret Wars and Doomsday, but I don't know about everybody else. I think Bucky and Yelena, though, I feel like they're going to treat Yelena as our next Black Widow a little bit.
We're going on tangents. I'm just like, I'm curious what the whole deal is now with this Spider-Man, right? Obviously now it's very different, right? Spider-Man used to have a movie every 2 years, and obviously they fulfilled that
took a little break
for three straight movies. But then there's a bigger break, and in the midst of that, just last year, Sony announced this universe is done. This Sony Venom Craven universe is done. And so that makes me wonder what is going on with Tom Holland's Spider-Man. Or is Sony all in on like Marvel? We can't make money without Venom, so just do what you want to do. Or like, will this still be a case where Sony's still in the ear of the director, the producers, and going, it needs a Marvel character? And maybe that's where this comes into play, because we're going to talk about who she might play. And that's where I'm kind of on the fence of is, yes, I wanted a really grounded, back to basics Spider-Man, but since I know I can't get that, I'm curious, what exactly are we playing with here? Are we just bringing Tobey Maguire and Andrew Garfield back to fight some multiversal villains? Or like, are we legit?
The details we don't really know about yet, but obviously,
which is crazy.
They dip in both hands. They're slowly trying to take one out of the tar that it's stuck in, because they're losing so much money on these stupid movies that they're kind of like,
I don't think they've lost any money because of Venom.
You don't think they've lost any money?
I don't think they've lost any money because of Venom.
I don't think Venom is enough to.
The first Venom made over $800 million. The second Venom made over $500 million in the pandemic, and the third one.
But again, I feel like budgets were inflating after the first Venom because it did so well. I feel like budgets were inflating for the rest of their projects. Like Madam Web, let's be honest, Madam Web is just a total loss. Like it's just like,
but it was
from
only
the start of production,
$100 million, which isn't much compared to Venom's sum.
Obviously, but like Craven, for example, I don't know.
Craven was less. I'm pretty sure Craven was less than Madam Web. I'm pretty sure.
But I mean, I feel like
they know they just can't do nothing though without Venom.
You know what it probably is? The money that they've made off of their stupid movies like Craven and Madam Web and stuff. They probably feel like, dude, we can make more money just like sharing with Disney all the time. Like
that's what they've always done.
Yeah, that's what they've always done. But I feel like with Spider-Man 4, I feel like they're gonna kick it into like a different gear in terms of
that's what I'm wondering.
Contract negotiations and stuff. I feel like Spider-Man's gonna get into a different like area.
I want to get into that real quick. There's obviously been this legal. I don't know what you want to call it, but
IP battle, I guess.
It is. It's been a rule clearly made by Sony that if they have a character they introduce in their universe, the MCU cannot use said character, right?
Yeah.
You introduce Morbius, now Tom Holland Spider-Man can't fight Morbius. You introduce Venom, Tom Holland Spider-Man can't fight
Is it
Venom
specific
unless
to
it's
that
Tom
universe
Hardy.
or just Sony stuff like
Just
Miles Morales and that stuff
I
too?
don't. I'm guessing that universe specifically.
Okay, I could see that.
But yeah, and it kind of pains me because now like we can't see Tom Holland Spider-Man fight a Craven, or like will he be able to at all have like a like fight Venom, or does it have to be theirs? Does it have to be Tom Hardy's? I'm curious to see how much those contracts have changed, and I'm very nervous for Daniel Craig. He's such a talented director, and you know, with John Watts,
You
you
know they're
had
breathing
he
down on
was
his
like
neck.
new. Like John Watts was someone fresh.
Yeah.
He had made Clown and Cop Car. That's not counting like his little claymation short. And like those are really nothing. But
He was
Daniel
probably just
Craig-
happy to get the chance to do a Marvel
That's what I'm
movie.
saying.
I feel like
Regardless,
Daniel Craig is like,
he's
yo,
coming
my
in with some
career's on the line
pedigree,
kind of
with
thing. Like,
Short Term
like
12, now
yeah.
Shang-Chi. And I'm curious, you know, how much freedom they're gonna give him. Also, what does this mean for Shang-Chi? Like I'm sorry, bro. It's like they just don't care about him where everyone loves him.
It is weird. It is weird
But
because plenty of people like Shang-Chi. I think that's
loved it.
I mean,
Loved it.
he's not too young to where it's like he's a young Avenger, but he's enough to where he could play the role for like a couple years now. Like, I really am confused as to why they just haven't touched that character at all.
Yeah.
Like, it feels like
Now-
at least every other character they have in mind alluding to or touching. It feels like Shang-Chi is like nothing. I think they said the 10 rings like one time since Shang-Chi. Like, that's
yeah, I
it.
can't think of that's actually so right, because even though Eternals hasn't been like referenced, you still had like Tiamat and the events from
Yep.
that movie affecting future ones. That is odd. But who do we think she's playing? Who do we think Sadie Sink is playing?
I mean, let's get one thing out of the way first. The fact that Sadie Sink is in this movie just came as a humongous surprise. One,
Out of
because
nowhere.
it's like the first casting.
Yeah,
It's like the first
official.
besides Tom Holland, which we assume he should be in the Spider-Man movie. This is the first casting announcement. And,
Well, I think we know Zendaya's in. I think we know like there's like,
obviously, yeah, maybe Ned. But Sadie Sink being in is just it's kind of wild because not only is she like a bona fide talent, like she's just a talented actress, really is. It makes you wonder what her role is going to be, because you
Yeah.
don't just sit a Sadie Sink on the sidelines. You don't really just do that, or you don't make her like a minor character that
I don't know how
you know.
well known she is though. Like outside of
I don't think it's about
that's
what being
Max
well
from
known. I think it's
Stranger
a
Things. I don't.
combination of her talent and being a little.
Oh no,
known.
she's
It's a
very
combination.
talented.
It's a combination of the two for me. Like, it's hard to think of many people in the MCU, especially like around her age, that are at her level, not only in terms of talent, but in terms of popularity. You know, Haley Steinfeld and whatnot. But like, you can't name a lot, and it makes me wonder what her role is going to be. And then you couple that in with the fact we just got rumors that she was going to be Jean Grey like
That was like
3 weeks ago or 2 weeks
no,
ago.
it was in December. It was in December. I'm pretty sure.
Was it?
Pretty sure. Yeah. It was
Okay.
in December.
The fact that we get that news
That
and we
does
get casting
line up.
news for Cyclops and Beast and Kitty Pryde and
It's
whatnot.
not real casting.
They're
news,
not
just,
real castings, but they're
like
they're,
reports
there's
of the
some rumors and
chatters, the
reports.
conversations going on.
And they're conversations I can believe, right? Because
course.
when you tell me Jesse Plemons as Beast, that's Vision. That doesn't sound like somebody making a
fan
making up a
casting.
casting. Yeah, like if you search up a Beast fan cast, I bet you he's nowhere near
No
anybody's
one
fan
has
cast.
Jesse Plemons,
But it fits. It's perfect, and I feel like there's a vision there. So when it comes to Jean Grey,
No
and
fan
Sydney
caster
Sink,
probably even knows who Jesse Plemons is. That's why.
okay, that's hilarious. But when it comes to Sadie Sink as Jean Grey, do I think she's playing Jean Grey? Yes, I think she's going to play Jean Grey. But my thing is, do I think she's going to play Jean Grey in this movie? And that's where we get to the nitty gritty of things. When it comes to Spider-Man 4, a lot of people are thinking Mary Jane. A lot of people are thinking Gwen. Some people are thinking Jean because of the recent rumors of her being an X-Men. And that could happen with the whole multiverse and, you know, the way the movie's being planned out around the multiverse. It could happen. But even here, 3C wants to do Mayday. I mean, bro, like, there's some stuff here personally I think is gonna be is between Gwen and Jean the Mary Jane stands out there. I don't think they're getting Mary Jane until
Mm-hmm.
Zendaya wants to realize who Peter Parker is again. Yeah, it just came super out of left field, but a huge talent that I can't wait to see. I don't really like. I personally, I'm not looking forward to her playing anybody specific because she's just a talent. Like, I don't need her to play anybody specific, but I am intrigued. I am super intrigued as to like who she's playing, what her role is going to be, and if she's going to have a role as said character or something moving forward. I just really wonder what the implications are here because, again, don't want it to be just Sadie Sink sitting on the sidelines. Like I can't. I'm sorry, I can't do that. I can't watch a Spider-Man movie with Sadie Sink on the sidelines.
Mm-hmm.
Not be a main side character, or main character, or anything, but just not on the sidelines. And I really do wonder who she's playing again. I think it's Gwen or Jean. Starting to lean towards Gwen a little bit because she give me that vibe. But yeah, I mean, really interesting stuff. Super out of nowhere. I expect more casting news to drop soon because, I mean, if you got Sadie Sink, you got to have some other people in here. This thing's going to start going into production in like, what, a couple months here? Like,
Maybe. When does the Odyssey, do we know when that's like finishing?
I assume that'll stop finishing near the summer, closer to the summer. Yeah. Not near this, but like leading into the summer.
Here's the thing, right? The Deadline article reads she will be playing a significant role, and even the Deadline article acknowledges the Jean Grey rumor, which is, that's
weird. I've never seen that.
Yeah, I've never. Well,
I don't see. I don't see real trades talk about rumors in there.
Yeah, and be like, there's this rumor, like, and I don't know. I'm very excited for the
big Marvel drop today on Twitter.
That was odd timing for sure. They dropped like an animated
Miss Minutes in it. What are we?
Yeah, of the death of Gwen Stacy, and I'm curious what all this is because I am very excited for the potential of the mutants in the MCU. I cannot wait for the X-Men to be. I mean, introduced.
Kamala.
And
technically a mutant,
she's
right?
a mutant. Namor's obviously like a mutant as well. But yeah, I mean, I don't really, and obviously they could change my mind on this. And if this were to be the case, I would hope that they change my mind on it. But I just don't care to see like X-Men characters in a Spider-Man movie. I really don't care.
I get that. I care to see X-Men characters. I see what you're saying.
Yeah,
in
like
a Spider-Man movie, it doesn't
like, what are we doing here? These are characters with like mutant abilities dealing with like racial commentary. It's like, what is Spider-Man doing here? And it's like, if I had to choose, I'm throwing Spider-Man in there with the Fantastic Four instead. But it's just interesting because if she is Jean Grey, like the rumor suggested, how exactly does she play a significant role? And sure, if this does end up being taking place after Doomsday, or was it before? It's after Doomsday.
Oh no, it's supposed to be it's supposed to be between Doomsday and Secret Wars.
Yeah, which means if the rumor is Doomsday is supposed to set up Battleworld, and all the movies between Doomsday and Secret Wars will take place on Battleworld, and so I'm like, so is this gonna be a situation where the characters already are there? Like, there's not some shenanigan that happens in the movie, and instead, like, we're right into like Spider City or something. And like, I'm curious. People are saying she could be Firestar. That's an odd pull.
I'm gonna be
honest,
because
it's so deep cut. But I also could see them doing that as their not introduction to mutants, but being like, we want to start integrating mutants, but we can't use a force like Jean Grey, a character with a name like Jean Grey, on the level of Jean Grey. So let's just throw Firestar in there. She's been a part of Spider-Man media before. Granted, it was the 1960s cartoon where they also had like Iceman in there, but like,
it was like Spider-Man and His Amazing Friends, right?
Yeah, and it's like I do think that's an interesting theory. And then I don't believe in the Mary Jane stuff. I don't think they're touching a Mary Jane Watson alternate universe. That's
Yeah.
way too
I think if they're
convoluted.
gonna touch a love interest, it's going to be Gwen. Like it's not gonna be Mary. I can't
I'm
see
curious
that
about
happening.
that. I really am interested
If she's a love
because
interest, I'm saying if
yeah, I don't understand really bringing Gwen into the fold right now. I don't get it at all. I'm gonna be honest. He's kind of been through his fair share of people dying in his life, and usually I like my Gwen. I like my Gwen and Peter meeting in the high school.
But again,
And
I mean, like playing with the multiverse and stuff, and like thinking that this will be on Battle World. By the way, if this movie is on Battle World, that is going to be crazy. If this movie is on Battle World, and I wonder what movies they plan on releasing in between that'll also be on Battle World.
and I wonder what sets will actually be real.
Probably none of them. But I mean, here's my thing. When it comes to Gwen, she doesn't have to be a lover. She doesn't have to be a love interest, right? She could simply be, something pulled out of the multiverse for some odd reason.
We're not doing Spider Gwen.
Okay.
Not with the Spider Gwen.
Okay. Gwenpool.
Not with
No.
the Gwenpool.
But when it comes to that, again, they could just pull her out of the multiverse for some, haphazard reason. But when it comes to the fire, what's her name?
Firestar.
Star. Okay. Firestar. When it comes to that, right?
Mm-hmm.
Like you said, it's a super deep cut.
Mm-hmm.
That's the reason I don't think it's going to happen at all.
Yeah, I know.
Like, not only is it a deep cut for, fans of Spider-Man and, people who watch Spider-Man and His Amazing Friends. And honestly, I do remember Firestar being like always there in that show. Like, I always remember her being on the, like,
she's reappeared in
the marketing
of comics. She's almost like a mainstay of the X-Men now.
And the thing about that is, I feel like you run yourself into another situation where some of the general audience can get confused because you have a character like Firestar who has red hair and a yellow outfit and is played by Sadie Sink. And let's say they actually do have plans to have Sadie Sink play Jean Grey.
Grey's
When that
outfit
time
is
comes,
green, sir.
No, I'm not saying okay, it's green, but I'm saying the red and the yellow, X-Men yellow, blue, the Jean Grey red hair. It could confuse a lot of people. I just don't see them going that route. Plus, if they wanted to do that, they would just put. I just feel like they would put Jean Grey in. If they wanted to put a mutant
very
in or
different
something,
abilities. You gotta
but I'm
understand
saying
that
if they
Jean
wanted
Grey
to put a mutant in, like,
but she's just too powerful. Like Jean
what
Grey
if we're dealing with
is
some powerful shit?
That's the thing is, and that's the reason why I don't believe any of the rumors of it or theories of it being MJ, Gwen, any normal human character. I don't believe it because this will most likely take place on Battle World. And if Doctor Doom is creating Battle World, he's not throwing civilians on. He's throwing all the heroes and all the villains.
Well, technically, we did see the concept art of what looked like Secret Wars or Battle World with a bunch of Hulks. I don't know if those are Hulk civilians or if there's just so many Hulks in that vicinity that they're just acting like civilians at that point. Like they're I mean, I don't know personally, but yeah, I do agree with you. I can't see Doctor Doom just throwing in.
I mean, if I'm
Sadie
Sony,
Sink from Stranger Things, yo, let's get her in Battle World.
I'm leaning straight into like Spider City if I'm Sony. Like, if your excuse really is you want to bring Toby and Andrew back because it made $2 billion at first, set it on Battle World, Spider City.
Spider-Verse. Go full on Spider-Verse.
That's what I'm saying. Just give me Toby Maguire, Andrew Garfield. Make Leonardo DiCaprio show up as an old Spidey, like James Cameron's fucking Spider-Man for a split second.
Don't make it seem like a cameo fest, though. That's my thing, and I think that's why No Way Home works so well because they didn't just make it a cameo fest, and they really made sure to
use those characters to tell our Peter's story, like really
and still do stuff for them in their own
still had the references, still had the callbacks, still had the kind of catching up with those characters. But yeah, I'm curious to see who she plays and how significant this role is. You know, them saying it's a significant role, I'm wondering if this is like a supporting role or like co-lead situation. Like
I think it'll be more supporting.
more supporting. I think so too. They better.
I think when they say significant, I think they're like they didn't expect her to have this big of a role, like a supporting role.
That could be true.
And they're
too.
just kind of saying it's pretty significant because they probably went in not even type thing. But
yeah. You guys tell us in the comments below, though.
Who knows, man?
Who do you think Sadie 𝙭 is playing? Are you excited? How excited are you for Spider-Man 4? What do you think it'll be? Anything related to this? Go ahead and drop your thoughts in the comments down below. But moving on to the next topic. This is going to be a quick one, obviously. We're going to give our quick thoughts. But it's been officially confirmed now by the main people themselves that John Wick 5 is in like active development. Like it is 1000% happening. This came to no surprise considering the last movie made, quite a splash. And, as long as it makes money, hey, like they're just going to keep making them. And I do think we all kind of saw this coming as soon as like the Continental show didn't do the best, and then Ballerinas obviously got bad
wasn't this kind of buzz behind it after John Wick 4?
I think it was, but like this is our first time having like someone official
like
at Lionsgate,
like, really? Okay.
Like saying John Wick 5 is in the works. I'm really curious where they're going with this. And I do hope this is the last one for Keanu. I do want this, listen, as much as I think this John Wick universe does not work without John Wick, I don't know how long Keanu Reeves can keep.
I think this universe can work without John Wick. I just think
haven't been proven yet.
We haven't been proven, but I think you need to kind of like ease everybody into it. You can't just leave Keanu out and then start your own stuff. That's kind of what they tried to do with the Continental. You can't just throw him out and then like, you kind of got to ease everybody into like somebody who could take up a new role or spin-offs and stuff. Because like, again, I think a lot of people would really be down to watch Kane, Donnie Yen, John Wick movie spin-off. Like a lot of people, especially
what's his name? The guy with the dog. Like I would love a show around him. I feel like you can do very interesting things with that dude.
With him, Scott Adkins' character, I mean, even though he's dead, but I mean, you can do a bunch of you do a bunch of different things. The fact that this is, I mean, we kind of knew it was going to be in development after John Wick 4. I remember after like the second week of that movie, there was like, I think it was a trade that said John Wick 5 is officially in development, officially, and everybody was kind of like, yeah, no shit, because the John Wick 4 did so good. Like it was like the best. I remember. Oh, take me back. It was like the best critically. It was the best. Like it was so good. It was doing so good financially. It was like right out of COVID. It was a good time. I'm hoping that they could use some of those legs, do some good stuff with John Wick 5, but still give the character a proper conclusion, because it seems like that's what they wanted to do with 4. But clearly that's not happening. So I just wonder how they're gonna go about kind of redoing a conclusion or doing something again, so where it feels like the character is concluded. And I'm really interested. I love the John Wick franchise. I got all 4 movies. Feel like this should be like $1 billion franchise. I feel like a lot of people are missing out, but maybe that's just me.
It's a lot of heads being shot and bodies getting cut up. You can only reach so far unless you undercut every single moment with humor like Deadpool 3. So I just think, that's why that franchise is so great. It's like it appeals to everything. But I mean, this is no surprise. I'm very excited to see where they take this character, because I did think John Wick 4 had a good conclusion, but like not a satisfying one. It was like, okay, if this was the end, cool.
A little bit of me was kind of like, is he?
That's what I'm saying.
The last one. So it was kind of like
finite
full farewell,
feeling.
But yeah.
I do want, if Keanu's gonna go out, make him go out with like a splash that crushes everyone, not some, like crush.
It gotta be. It gotta
destroy
be the dog right next to him.
That's what I'm saying.
Something to really bring it back full circle and like really. 𝙀𝙀, I'm gonna let you cook. I'm not gonna say too much. Like I'm gonna let you, cause look, you love the character more than I do, right? So I'm gonna let you cook. I bet you probably thinking so many steps ahead of us right now. You're probably like, look at that, look at these two dumbass twins on this podcast literally not knowing what the hell they're talking about. Bro, just cook. I bet you're gonna do a great job. I'm happy John Wick 5 is in development. I don't need 10 John Wick movies, but I'm happy 5 is in development. I can only hope Keanu.
You don't need 10 John Wick movies.
I don't, but I know a certain company that might. Again, I'm happy about the news because I just love the John Wick movies, and honestly, the last John Wick, I want to see how they would have how they can top it.
Yeah,
that's what I'm really looking forward to, because watching John Wick 4 in IMAX, I was like, oh no, yeah, no action movie comes fucking close. Like in terms of action choreography and set pieces and sequences, no movie comes close.
God,
none.
It was so
and
beautiful too.
How do you top that? Because Chad Stahelski wants to top that. I bet you one of the things that made him go, okay, I'll do John Wick 5 was the itch in the back of his neck. That's like, how can you top it? Find ways. That budget will probably increase. I can't wait.
I hope so. The fact that we made a John Wick movie, the fact that we started out with this franchise with like a $10 million movie or something like that, and we somehow got a $100 million John Wick movie is crazy.
What Keanu does. What Keanu does.
That is the Keanu effect. But yeah, you guys tell us in the comments below. What do you guys think about the rumors, or not the rumors, I guess. John Wick 5 is officially in the works. So give us your thoughts on, where you would like this to go. How excited are you? Do you want more than 5?
Your favorite John Wick movie?
Yeah, rank the John Wick movies. How about anything? Yeah, drop them down in the comments. And yeah, let us know your thoughts down below. But we're going to go ahead and move on, right? And this is the main man of the hour, really. Obviously, we got a closing topic, but Daredevil Born Again Episode 3 recently premiered this week. And this was definitely one of, arguably the best episode.
It can be, the more it sits with me. I mean, let me tell you something. It does
grow as I think about
like
it more.
A lot more. Don't know if I like it more than the first. I really like that first episode. But this episode is definitely like right there with it. Like it's definitely better than the second episode. I'm so liking where the show is going. It's getting to that point where, because I mean, let's just call it what it is, right? After this episode premiered, everybody's talking about it on Twitter. Like everybody's talking about White Tiger. Everybody's talking about the death, and like it's a big shock. Like at the end of the episode, and something going into next week that'll make people, talk so much. And I just it just makes me.
So I'm guessing we're seeing Frank next week. That's what I'm guessing.
I mean, yeah, probably I can see and that. I do with the
hear
whole Punisher.
Don't expect much of him. Which I didn't really, to be honest, but I do think there's some people out there that think like Frank's gonna be in half of this show. Like, no,
I think he's gonna be in a lot more towards the end, maybe like the last 2 episodes. I think this next episode he's probably gonna be a little bit in. I think especially the last 2 episodes, you're probably gonna see more. But yeah, I never really expected him to have too much.
Let's jump into it because I mean, this is our spoiler review. We're gonna try to be as quick as possible, but also as in depth, and I'll just give what I liked about it, and kind of what I disliked. But really, it's mostly positives here. I'm not gonna lie. Like, I think I love the procedural episode. This episode felt so episodic. It felt so like something starts and is resolved in the same episode. It's not some 5-6 episode event storyline. Like, no, like. They set this up obviously in the first 2 episodes, but really this is where the meat is on the bone and it gets ate here. And I did really appreciate that. Anytime Matt is doing his lawyer thing, I mean, I'm so locked in. Yeah. And also I just love the amount of weight and gravitas this actor brings, whoever plays White Tiger. I forget his name, but I mean, every time he speaks, there's so much weight to it. Like you feel his words, and
he's so goddamn good.
He is so good. I'm so sad he got absolutely blasted.
Camar de los Reyes. Camar de los Reyes.
I'm so sad he got blasted. Obviously, the death means more than the life in this episode.
Yeah,
and we're strictly talking about characters, of course. Also the stuff with Fisk, I'm kind of on and off with it. I'm obviously interested in whatever Vince or whenever Vincent D'Onofrio is on screen, but as for what his character is doing, I'm not that interested in what him and Vanessa are right now. But I am curious, what is the whole mayor goal? Like, or at least the motivation
I
to
told you what
become
I think is
mayor?
happening. I think we're looking at a butting heads for the rest of the season, even though you got this therapist trying to reconcile a relationship between them two. I don't
Hmm.
think that therapist is gonna last a whole season. So I don't think that
No, of course not.
reconciliation is gonna happen. Uh, and I don't think one of I don't think one I think one of them has to go. I think you probably know which one that might be because I can't see them killing off Kingpin this quick.
You think
Um,
Vanessa's going?
I think Vanessa's going at the hands of Kingpin. That's just my hunch. That's just my hunch. When you
I
start off
think
the series with Vanessa kind of telling Kingpin, "Hey, I'm doing what you're doing, just better." I think that gets under Kingpin's skin just a little bit enough.
that's my question: is what's motivating him to become a mayor? What is exactly the motive? Because we don't know. We
I
don't
feel like
know.
it's the I feel like it's the vigilanteism.
I mean, that's easier said than done, but we haven't seen much of it.
I
Like
mean,
we
when you see him
haven't.
constantly talking about vigilantes and like
Yeah, but he's.
that's kind of his whole
So is this just
campaign run.
motivated from Daredevil alone?
Probably, yeah.
And I
I would
guess
assume
a
so.
bit
Or
of
Daredevil,
Hawkeye,
a little
a
bit of
bit of
Hawkeye, a little bit
Hawkeye.
of Echo and whatnot. Like, I just feel like that's what it is. I feel like part of it is trying to reverse his image a little bit, and
Mm-hmm.
I feel like another piece of it is trying to get vigilantes off the streets. Just my way isn't working. The being kingpin of the city of crime and stuff isn't working as far as eliminating all these vigilantes. Maybe this will. I feel like it's a little. I feel like it's something like that.
Yeah, I
As
mean, I
far as this,
think.
let's. I mean, we're going off on a tangent, but this episode, man, like, again, starts off with. I'm pretty sure it starts off like with Hector Ayala talking about the cookie frogs. I think it starts off like that, like in the
I think
cell,
so. I think
and
so.
then yeah, he's talking about like the sunset or like his favorite beach in Puerto Rico or something like that. And it was just beautiful. Like every dude, again, he is a phenomenal actor that
He
I feel
is.
like I'm kind of more like shocked that I haven't seen this man and like more stuff. And that Daredevil is what took me to see. Like, bro, I feel like he should be in some very prestige. Every line he's delivering, I feel to my core. It's super convincing on the other end on screen. Not only do I feel it, but on screen, it's super convincing. Um, what his character provides in terms of mirroring Matt or in terms of
Mm-hmm.
mirroring just the entire show in general is I feel like it was just really strong. And honestly, I feel like this is just something the show needed, right? To really like get things a little bit more interesting because yeah, you're gonna have villains here and there, you're gonna have vigilantes here and there, but I feel like the courtroom drama gets lost a lot. Like, especially in the Netflix series, I feel like I only remember
It's
seeing
not
like
as a big part, but I will say, this episode did remind me of something we would get in the middle of the Netflix
yeah,
season. It
it did.
really did. It felt
It did.
like a point where like some things maybe need to develop in the background instead of focusing on it, and usually that revolves around some sort of courtroom, some sort of either investigation.
Yeah.
It's like a bunch of that, and it really reminded me of that. And yeah, I mean, the episode was pretty like straightforward. There wasn't too much happening, which I liked because I do think like that first episode had a ton in it, and it's not my favorite. The second episode was a huge improvement in my opinion, and the more I sit on this, I don't know if I like it more than the second episode, but it's like hand in hand. It's really
I
it was
really like
great.
what they're cooking up here. What you said about Netflix is I wanna reiterate that because it did feel like when you would watch that Netflix series, the courtroom drama that they would have would be in one episode. I
Hmm.
could already appreciate that was starting in episode two. I can already appreciate that
Yeah, it's
he was
shorter.
starting to he was it it's it yeah it's just basically him going, hey Hector, you know I'm gonna I'm gonna be your lawyer, and a couple scenes here and there, and then it leads into episode three, which is all about the
Mhm.
court case. I like that, and I want to see more. I want to see more of that.
I do as well. I wonder how
Um,
much procedural we'll get in here. How many sequences of Matt, in his lawyer, specifically in the courtroom, because obviously I expect to see lawyer Matt out, whether that's at his firm, out
especially
investigating
now that
stuff.
Foggy's dead, I feel like now that Foggy's like kind of dead, I feel like he feels like like that's the reason he's doing
That's his
Matt and McDuffie.
only,
Like
yeah.
I feel like he's kind of that's his only tether to Foggy is McDuffie and what Foggy was gonna do with McDuffie, and like I feel like that's his only like connection to that, and
Hmm.
it'll probably persuade him to do a lot to take on a lot more legal action in this season. I'll hope for that, but I also want to see some Daredevil action. I
I think we'll
want to see
get
some
some
Daredevil.
very soon, especially with Frank most likely introduced next
I
episode.
think Frank is gonna provide some much needed aggression to this story because it's underlying it's like in Daredevil, but you can feel like he's containing it. Like he's just
How long do we think till Daredevil suits up again? How long do you think?
I give it 2 episodes. I
You
think
give it two
episode
episodes?
five
Trying
or
to see.
six. I think episode 5 or 6. I think maybe the ending of episode 5 leading into 6, or just I think it'll happen in episode 5 though. I think you'll see him suit back up because I do agree with you. I think next episode Frank is going to be
Hmm.
in it, and then I think he's going to probably give some words to Matt and stuff like that.
Yep.
That makes him see things in a different light and maybe take up the mantle again, and go forward doing that. Or maybe something happens like a muse comes out and starts doing some
Messing
reckless
with his
activity,
girl.
and he has zero choice but
I
to
do think
suit up in
Muse
that.
is killing her, by the way. I do think Muse is
I
killing her.
100% think the therapist. Hey,
I think
that
she's dying to Muse.
Kingpin and Vanessa, bro, y'all better go find a new therapist right now because I do not think she's surviving.
And I also
Like,
think Vanessa's boyfriend, Adam or whatever, is toast. Like, you literally brought him up in like the first episode. We still have not seen him. That man
nope.
is toast.
Yeah.
But yeah, as for my negatives, I guess we'll get into that. Um, Speaking of Frank, I do think while I loved what Hector specifically the character meant in this episode, and not only this episode, but just for clearly Matt's character arc moving forward, like it's clearly a point that's going to kind of maybe not circle back, but feel like such a pivotal moment in this arc that Daredevil is obviously going
that
on.
Hector
And
that
while I
that
love
Hector
that,
moment. Yeah.
I do think the character was specifically a plot, a kind of plot point just to get Frank in somehow. And obviously, they're using his death and people obviously wearing Frank's logo.
I can
And I
see
think
that. I feel
that's
like they
how
could
it
have did
ends
that
up
with
being
anybody though.
affected. Also, I mean, if you're gonna throw Karen away for McDuffie and Cherry, like, what are we? What was McDuffie even in this episode?
Well, here's how I see it. Here's how I
And you
see it,
got
right? Even though
Cherry driving the dude, like the Cherry Adventures, and it's like
here's
that's
how I see
cool,
it.
but I
Even
don't
though the
care
McDuffie and Cherry stuff isn't
about
like the
you.
most interesting, I do think it serves its purpose and it makes perfect sense. Like Karen, like what happened with Foggy, I think Karen being away from Matt is
Hmm.
entirely in her character. It's
I'm
entirely
not saying
something
it's
she would.
not.
No, but I'm just saying that's why I can excuse that I'm not seeing her. Even if
Mm,
McDuffie and Cherry weren't on screen, I can
right, right,
excuse
right.
that. But while the stuff McDuffie and Cherry are doing right now isn't nearly as like interesting as any of the
No,
stuff
I
Karen
think
and
what they're
Foggy.
doing is well, not McDuffie because she really hasn't done anything. But in this episode, you got Cherry kind of playing double and like driving the witness or whatever to the
Right.
courtroom. He just feels like such a plot device though. Every time he talks with Matt, it's like the next investigation, and like that was Ben Urich in the first season, but Ben Urich felt like a lot more 3 dimensional. Like
Yeah.
we saw his
It felt
crib.
like you knew
We,
him. It felt like you knew him. Yeah, yeah.
yeah, you knew him, and it's so
Feels like
odd.
Cherry's just like this random police guy
This random
that like
investigator that we used to get from
no,
point A to point B.
yeah, yeah, yeah. I
And
mean,
yeah, I mean those are my only two gripes, and a minor one is just white White Tiger just doesn't exist in this show, really. Like, we have not seen White Tiger fight. We have not seen White Tiger do anything that would make us go, damn, like we lost a hero with such abilities. While I think Hector clearly has a phenomenal heart, I do want to know what the mystical amulet does to him and what that mantle is like. I do think it's going to be given to, was it his daughter? That
I'm
was
pretty sure it's either his daughter or his niece.
it's one of the two. I do think they'll take it, and maybe
I think
that's
it's
when we'll
daughter.
be able to see more of it, more of those powers, more of what that mantle is like, and stuff like that. But I do think that was the only thing that I could have wanted more from him specifically, is just a scene or two of White Tiger doing, with the amulet on, understand like what he's capable of. But those are very minor. Like, compared
No,
to
that's fair.
the amount of gripes I had with like episode 1, 2, and 3 are like with each other very much. I really like this episode.
That's fair. It clearly feels like they're leaning. I still think we're gonna get like tons of action and like tons of good
I think so.
action.
I hope so.
I think what this show is trying to do is lean heavily on some of the character moments and some dialogue,
Hmm.
some of the writing throughout these first couple episodes. One, because a lot of stuff was just retooled and reshot and just,
And they gotta chop it back in and stuff. Yeah.
as much as you would like to say, oh, damn it, we don't know what to do with this script right here. Fuck it, just throw an action sequence in it and forget about it. As much as you would want to do that, no, it's just gonna hit the fan at some point. So I feel like a lot of this is kind of setting up for the rest of the season. What you said about Cherry is kind of what it's kind of what I'm worried about with Cherry, because it feels like they're
He's gonna
not
die, but
building
it's not gonna
him.
have the Ben Urich impact. Like, it's
That okay, I'm not gonna say that that's what I'm thinking, but I'm thinking something like that. Like, he's supposed to have a Ben Urich type of role. Again, don't know if he's gonna die or whatever, but I'm just like, I'm not feeling that right now. Again,
hmm
2 more episodes, or
get me,
the episode he
get me,
dies. Right?
BB,
If he dies, maybe
get
I
me,
cry.
BB.
Right? Maybe that episode they just made me care about Cherry so much I'm crying over him
All
right
of
now.
a sudden, I'm gasping.
Right. But that's what I'm really worried about, because as far as McDuffie and Cherry go for Matt, I kind of like how they're kind of his guidance that he doesn't have, because Karen's not there, Foggy's not there. That's why I really like the conversation he has in the cell with Hector Ayala, because
Hmm.
it literally seems like he's seeking guidance everywhere. He's sitting in a courtroom holding his horn,
Hmm.
basically sitting in it like it's a church. He won't go inside the church though, but he'll use his super hearing to listen into it. It really seems like he wants that. Like, he wants that guidance,
But he doesn't
which is
feel
funny
like
because he's dating a therapist that might not survive. I find that hilarious. But it just seems like he wants that, but he's not he's not being open enough. And
hmm he maybe
that's what
thinks
I
he
can
hasn't
appreciate
earned it.
about Cherry and McDuffie, is that they're kind of providing that. But my thing is this, right? You want to make Cherry this like police guy who's like, it clearly seems like you're using him for police importance.
Yeah, like
He
he's
doesn't feel police important. He
yeah.
doesn't
It feels
feel
like an
like,
undercover investigator. It feels
yeah,
like he's like randomly on side quests.
yeah.
Like he's
I
around the
also feel
law
like
firm too.
they're just not giving Cherry enough to chew on, like in terms of dialogue and stuff like that. Cherry and
Yeah,
McDuffie,
he
I feel
says
like
like
both of them
4
right now, in
words.
terms
He's
of,
probably said a sentence
yeah, and
in
they're
all
like,
3 episodes combined.
they're kind of like generic stuff too. It's kind of like when McDuffie's talking to Matt, it's either, like telling him like something in the courtroom, you
Hmm.
know, or hey Matt, take a drink or two or something. Like, it's very like,
Yeah,
it's not dialogue that's
doesn't
really.
feel like a
That's why the
3-dimensional
Hector
character.
scene. That's why the Hector scene is so good, because you have
Yeah, like they're at
multiple lines
least
of dialogue in that scene.
attempting there, and that's what I appreciate. While I would have loved to rather see Hector, come from his studio that he purchased and that he got, I still appreciate that like they gave him that to make him somewhat 3-dimensional. We know he has a heart as a hero, but he has a heart as a family man. He has a heart as someone on the streets for his community. And, as much as I would have loved to rather see that, I think placing that in a courtroom space it allows
it's
to
something
give
the
it,
MCU hasn't really done since the Sokovia Accords, which is crazy because it's like that's the kind of stuff that makes the universe like just that made it feel it made it feel like White Tiger is in the MC, like we've seen White Tiger a couple movies ago. Like it felt like, oh, the mystical amulet, it's totally normal. Like, and I feel like the
I
MCU
do
needs
want
to do a
more
lot
of
more
that,
stuff.
I do want more of that. I think that's what worked so good in She-Hulk is like,
I was about to say,
like,
kind of like She-Hulk.
yeah, I really liked seeing the person that makes these superhero costumes. Like, I've always wondered that, like, where are they coming from exactly? Like, it's little things like that that make it feel believable that such wild things are constantly happening in this universe. And Matt just nonchalant throwing out, he wasn't in possession of his mystical amulets. Like, you would have never got that in the Netflix Daredevil show. And those are the bits I like. So I mean, I really enjoyed this episode.
Also,
and
can we talk about
I think
one
it's
thing?
hitting a stretch.
Matt pulling out the mask was totally surprising to me.
That was crazy.
When that happened, I gasped like out loud. I was really shocked that he
I hope
that
Matt
he made that
does
decision.
somewhat feel some guilt though when he finds out Hector is dead. I do want to see Matt be
I can't wait to see what like I just
like, is he gonna blame himself?
Episode.
Is he gonna blame
and
himself
then Punisher?
again?
Like I can't wait for
first Bullseye letting Foggy die and then revealing Hector's identity, getting him killed. I wonder if this guilt will really affect Matt or if we kind of brush. I'm really curious how they're gonna handle that. And then
I am appreciating though that we're starting to see a lot more of like the work side of Matt. It gives him some. It's honestly kind of crazy that like it's giving him this like new dimension that I didn't feel in the Netflix.
He feels so
series
seasoned. He feels so seasoned.
Yeah, like
and I
he
love
feels
that.
like a professional ass lawyer here. Like he's been doing this, and I just didn't like. I always understood that he was a lawyer in the Netflix series, but it never really came to me like hard like this show is really doing. Like I'm really
that's because
falling in love with Matt as a lawyer.
They were broke.
Well,
number two,
well, but if they were any.
Yeah, and number two, they were like, I think the entire not the crux, but like why that show does work is they feel like young lawyers in a city trying to do good.
I can see that.
Like they really do feel like young and reckless, but also really trying. And here in this show, it feels like he's got it. Like it feels like he's seasoned. It feels like he's been doing this for a while now. This is just his career. This is his job.
I want to talk about this because I didn't bring this up to you while we were watching the episode, but I'm pretty sure you were thinking it, and I'm pretty sure I was definitely thinking it. There's a scene in the episode where I forget what his name is, but he's like this suit guy. And he meets up with like these three. They kind of feel like the Netflix, like not feel like it, but it reminds me of it. In the Netflix in season 1 when there would be that like group of crime bosses. It was I forgot her name.
Bro, I was thinking that too because of the two cops. Or one of them got one of them.
There were
died.
2 cops, and then there was like a tracksuit dude. Right? There's like a dude in a tracksuit.
Yeah, you had Fisk's little hench guy.
Yeah. And then the dude in the tracksuit says word for word. He literally says, I'm pretty sure he says something like you go tell Fisk whatever, and it really reminded me of those I'm pretty sure they were Russian. The Russians in season 1 of Netflix's Daredevil. Yeah, remember they weren't one of those crime bosses, but they were like in that group. They weren't one of the bosses, but they were like,
oh, I know what you're
kind of Kingpin's little lapdog. And they were kind of combating.
I thought you were talking about the higher ups of every other city.
I know.
You know what I'm talking about. Yeah. I get what you're saying.
That is what I was talking about at first, right? I was talking about that, but my thing is that just that reminded me of it. So I wonder where that is going, right? Because I'm not really interested in it. I just wonder where it's going because it really.
Yeah, there's a lot of loose threads that I wonder if I'm gonna care about. Not in a really cynical way. I just like for example, like the get me BB. I'm like, okay, well, we'll see what's going on with BB. And then like his little henchman, who's like a Wesley wannabe, like so clearly, but without any of the aura or sauce. He's just a British mate that's like kind of mad, and it's like kind of oh, okay. And then
Yeah.
like I'm so like it's so odd. It seems like they don't want to. It does. It has that feeling of what the show was originally gonna be, which was like its own thing. But then now that they're taking the real like, nope, this is a season 4 approach. Now it just feels like they're trying to replicate the Netflix show without the same characters. So they're
Yeah.
like, Kingpin had a
Yeah.
Wesley. Let's get our Wesley.
Yeah. That's what
Matt
that's what I
had
was
a
really
Ben Urich.
feeling.
Let's give Matt a Ben Urich. Like, and it's
No,
it's odd.
100%. And I'm fine with that because it's totally in line with the Netflix series. And actually, Netflix kind of does similar stuff in season 3 of Daredevil. Like they retread some similar like plot points and story beats. It works. Again, it works. It works here. I just feel like we got to take a moment to talk about the scene with him and with Matt and Hector in the cell talking that comes later when they're when because I really feel like this is just something that is just, I mean, Matt's saying things like you won't miss being White Tiger as much as you think you do, right? And it just feels like so, like it feels so untrue. Like it feels like Matt is lying his ass off. But here's my thing. I think Matt actually thinks this. I think Matt
I think he's trying to force himself to think that.
Right. I think he thinks it, but like you just said, I think he's trying to force himself to think that. And I think the conversation with Hector in this scene kind of opens Matt up into the idea, and I think it's gonna come with Frank too. Then kind of opens Matt up to the idea of, just because there's been tragedy in your life while you're donning, your heroism or whatever, doesn't mean it's the heroism that led to it. And I feel like that's kind of what Hector was trying to tell him. He's like, behind the mask, like it's not Daredevil that killed Foggy. It just happened, right? But that, like, the stuff with White Tiger and his whole mystical amulet, I get that you could have saw that stuff, fine. But I really like that in this episode, like you don't see none of that, and instead he kind of presents himself as a hero within his own character. Like he's like, Hector's
Which,
really,
I think
and
we
it
all
feels
came to that
real.
conclusion.
It feels like he really feels like I like. It's making me like low key emotional just thinking about it. Like I just feel it. Like, you know what I mean? Like I feel it whenever it's on screen, whenever he says anything regarding
I think we
his heroism.
kind of came to that conclusion though at the end of episode 2 when we know he is clearly taking down 2 really scummy people. Like we know that, okay, this guy's doing the right thing. Obviously, in this episode, they kind of enforce that in his character a lot more.
I like
so
that
it's
it
kind
doesn't
of poignant.
come from his amulet.
Yeah,
when you have Daredevil constantly fiddling with his horn, the symbolism and mirroring there is,
it was once again, I'm gonna say it again. The death of White Tiger means more than the life of White Tiger in the context of the show, and I do really like that. I just like, when he walks out in the street and just gets popped, it's like, oh, like I didn't know they can just do that. Like I didn't
know that was allowed on Disney Plus. I wasn't aware.
I wasn't aware White Tiger could just get like shot like with no.
I mean, I know from what I've seen, like White Tiger's been done dirty in the comics like a lot, but
is this a consistent thing?
I'm right. But again, like I really like what he provides for Matt in that sequence in the cell, and I like all the symbolisms of, like while he's in the cell, the sun is kind of like beaming on him, and like, when he's after he dies, it's kind of like that same, like the sun is kind of just shining on him, and then he's talking about the sunsets and the Goki frogs, and the episode ends silently. I love, by the way, when after he gets shot, it's kind of all silent, and Kingpin is kind of like, he's kind of having like this monologue at the same time with the BB report. it kind of makes him seem like he has nothing. And I don't think he has anything to do with that. I think it's going to be a surprise to him. But it makes it gives it this cool little dynamic where it's like, is he doing the BB report to cover that up? Like to cover up that he's doing that, like that he's just like sitting in his office, oh, what, that happened? Or like, is it just circumstance, which I think it is. But again, I just really like the way that whole scene was like directed, the monologuing onto BB, the Hector's dead.
Bro, put the feet on. We saw him put the feet on. I was like,
oh, the music was coming up. I said
he walked out like kick ass. Boom, got like. Bro. I was like, oh, okay. And it did. I will say, whether you love that or not, leaves a very lasting impression. It does. Dude, like it really
it's silent.
Did.
The Goki frogs that he was talking about earlier in the episode start what, croaking? Start croaking, and it's like, again, the more I think about it, the more I think about this episode, the more I watch it, the more I look at clips, the more I just see stuff. And it goes for the whole series too. Don't get it twisted. I did the same thing with episodes 1 and 2. Felt a lot better about them after, looking over them again. Really enjoying it. I wonder where it goes from here. I want to see Matt. Like, I want to know what Matt's reaction is going to be, because it's not
Hector's death. Yeah, me too. And yeah, I do think this is hopefully hitting a nice stretch and stride in the season. I do hope that that is the case, because it does feel, whether or not you like episode 3 the most or anything, it does feel like a climb. Like, and I really like that. It's feeling like it's really starting to get into its groove and rhythm, and I do
feels
hope
like a
that,
proper show too, which I can appreciate.
Which
does it feel like a Disney Plus,
which is crazy
that
we're here
into a series,
like it's episodic, like crazy. That is insane. But yeah, I really thoroughly enjoyed this episode. You guys tell us in the comments below, obviously, your thoughts on all of this. Spoilers, obviously, free, yeah, I mean, how excited are you for these couple episodes? What do you think is going to happen in episode 4 of Daredevil?
Your favorite episode so far?
And yeah, what is your favorite out of the 3? Go ahead and let us know down below in the comment section. We're going to go ahead and give our quick thoughts, because at this point, it has been out for like a week. Yeah. Mickey 17 dropped last week. Obviously, we went to go see it in IMAX. And listen, I tweeted out it right when I walked out of the theater. I just feel so sorry for anyone who can't get on this movie's wavelength. I am sorry. This was a delightful treat from Bong Joon-ho. And when you come up with something like Parasite, which obviously had the most prestige and awards and all of that, like, and you do something so much more, I guess, less subtle, and also while being extremely like zany and kooky. Yeah. I mean, like, I just appreciate when people take those kinds of directions. Obviously, earlier in the year, not too long ago, Osgood Perkins followed up Long Legs with the Monkey. And I just appreciate that they're not like trying to live up to certain, I guess, expectations.
Yeah, they're kind of just trying to do their own thing.
Yeah, and
I think I saw somewhere WB wanted they wanted Final Cut set on that movie, on Mickey 17. And I heard that final cut that they wanted tested better.
Probably because
it tested better. I love Bong Joon-ho for that. I love him for that. I can only love you for that, Bong.
This isn't doing the best at the box office, which is okay. We're not here to talk about the box office.
Nobody really expected it to, though. Let's be honest.
This is almost a near impossible movie to market outside of Robert Pattinson. I'm not gonna lie. There is like almost
they tried to put 2 in them.
Well, there's 18.
I don't think technically, I don't think Robert Pattinson's even like enough of a draw to even excuse the budget that they put on this movie. And clearly and I'm glad that the movie looks like
a lot of that Oscar money.
I'm glad the movie looks like it's expensive.
It does look phenomenal. The visual effects are pristine.
Phenomenal. I love the world building aspects of it, like the production design of like everything they're on, like the space. I don't know what it is. They don't really give you like a clear cut view of everything, but it feels like lived in. Like you see like one exterior shot of the ship, and then like you got them all inside it. It kind of feels like has like a Fallout vibe a little bit.
A little bit, like, yeah, a little bit.
It's kind of interesting. I really like the way Joon-ho visualized and realized it, because I don't know what the story is. I don't know if the story is, you know, a little bit kooky and funny like this one in out of the box, but
Mm-hmm.
if it's a lot more, you know, dark, or if it's a lot
I
more
feel like it
mature
might
and
be.
realistic,
This
I feel
does
like it
feel
might be,
like a case
because
where he went that way for such,
yeah,
I guess what's the word I'm looking for? Like blunt satire, you know? As much as, you
mhm,
know, I'd appreciate subtlety, this movie is not trying to do that. And I personally
no,
like that, because then it can do it at its most obnoxious level without like being super I guess irritating or lazy. There's such a specific tone and style to this movie that I appreciate, and even the way Robert Pattinson goes about differentiating 17 and 18, I love.
yeah,
And unexpectedly, this is like one of the most romantic movies I've seen
yeah. It's
in
weird that they didn't
quite a
market it at
while.
all like that.
Yeah. I mean, it
They're trying
was,
to market it more like, you know, like a fun Robert Pattinson
yeah, it
VFX
caught me
heavy
so
movie.
off guard. And yeah, some of the visual effects with Robert Pattinson's interaction with himself is genuinely like insane. It's like
It's ridiculous.
so
Let me get
impressive.
one thing straight. There's not one point in this entire
Where you're like,
movie.
the Flash, fake head.
Yeah, yeah,
His
yeah.
head is on
There
his
isn't,
body.
and I think you could spend countless hours trying to find something,
Looking,
and
yeah.
I still don't think you would. Um, it is crazy though that they didn't market like the whole romantic part of
Mm-hmm.
the movie, because um, I thought the relationship between Robert Pattinson's character and Naomi Watts,
Naomi Aki.
Aki, I said Watts, Naomi Aki. I think the relationship between those two was like so good. Like,
It was bang on,
it was
dude.
honestly
It's
at
dynamite.
points carrying the movie for me. Like, at
Yeah.
points, I was like so into
There's a
their
scene.
relationship.
Listen. The movie, we really like the movie. Obviously, there's people that didn't, and you know that's okay. You know, obviously these things are subjective, but
Yeah,
you know you should probably get your taste checked out. But I do think that there's one scene in here specifically that kind of just made the movie for me. It kind of bumped my 3.5 star rating throughout the entire movie to a 4, and it was the dinner scene. I think the dinner scene was
that scene is so good.
phenomenal. I think
That
that
scene
scene
is so
is
good.
funny, scary, sad, and like it's everything in
I
so
think we
many
got to
different
talk about
ways.
Mark Ruffalo too.
Mark
Mark
Ruffalo,
Ruffalo in
amazing.
this
I mean,
movie.
it's clear the
It's
themes are like,
expected.
you know,
It's
colonization, obviously, greed,
leaning a
fascism.
little bit towards the Trump side of things in terms of Mark
Yeah, I
Ruffalo's
mean,
character
I
and
will say,
how he acts.
insane timing for this to drop because apparently this movie was shot and finished before Trump even started running.
Yeah.
There is a sequence in here. Even though this is a spoiler review, I'm not even going to say it. There is a sequence in here. I'm just going to say, shoot. There is a sequence in here that is so parallel to real life. It's insane that this was not shot after. It is genuinely astonishing. It's
No.
like a Simpsons moment. It really is like a Simpsons moment.
At the
It
same
is
time, I mean, there's
crazy.
certain things I feel like Bong Joon-ho contextual wise took from
Of
his
course, like the red
tenure
hats and the
beforehand.
fascism.
But yeah, I thoroughly enjoyed this movie. I think the one thing that I feel like audiences can't get behind isn't the comedy. It isn't the zaniness of the movie. I just feel like it's the overall like pacing of the movie. I feel like just a lot of audiences aren't keen on watching slow build up movies, especially now.
This did
I
feel
f-
longer than the
it,
runtime.
it felt longer than the runtime,
It
and
did.
I think
Not in a
it
bad way,
does
just, you know,
take
it lingers.
like half the movie to build up. Like, I feel like the movie doesn't get going until you see Mickey 18, which is like halfway into the movie. And through that first half, I feel like it is slow. It's not like it's building up and it's fine. It's slow.
It's
It
taking
is.
its time. I will say though,
But
leading up to
world
the
building,
title
it's
card,
building stuff.
leading up to the title card of the movie, I think everything in there from the beginning of the movie to the title card, genuinely masterful editing, like phenomenal. It is absolutely like
It
I was
sucks because
so
this movie's
enamored.
probably not going to get any award looks.
Probably not.
If I had to just guess, not only because it's releasing in March, but I just feel like a lot of people just expected like
The Academy doesn't
masterpiece
have
level
the
cinema from
balls.
Bong Joon-ho, and if it's not, they're kind of like, okay, whatever. Um,
Yeah.
Here's my gripe, right? Even though the movie is slow and it picks up at what I would say is like the perfect time. Like it picks
Yeah.
up right like at that halfway point. You're not really checking your watch or anything, but you're also not expecting the second half of the movie to feel like a like a
Basically,
more
as
fun
soon as
ride, like more
Mickey
fun
18
adventure.
is introduced, it is like you're locked in. You're
It's
like
fun. It's
such a good
fun.
ride.
It gets more interesting. Robert Pattinson starts to like get into the performance a lot more
Yep.
as the movie goes on. Like by the like in the beginning of the movie, you're kind of like, how the hell is Robert Pattinson doing this voice and how's he doing this? And you're kind of just impressed. But through the movie, you're kind of like, holy shit, I was just watching two Robert Pattinsons. Like by
And I
the end of
thought
the
they
movie,
were
you're like,
two
they felt like
completely different
two
characters.
different Robert Pattinson. So
And
it's crazy,
shame
but
on Warner Brothers for not selling Creepers plushies, by the way.
oh yeah.
Absolutely insane to me. But go
Um,
on.
but again, like my one of my gripes would be that the movie feels like it doesn't waste time, but it feels like it ventures out into
Hmm.
other characters and other story beats and other like side quests that it doesn't need to.
Hmm.
I feel like there's and some of them they work thematically. Some of them they kind of just feel like I don't like for example, right? Since we can go into spoilers, I feel like Steven Yeun's character is like repeated a lot throughout this movie.
That, and he doesn't really have a like good conclusion
He doesn't have a conclusion other
to that
than it's let
relationship.
me not mess with Mickey because his 18 version beat my ass and
His
threatened
18
me.
version is the Batman.
his,
Like,
his eight when Mickey turns 18, like bro, like and the thing is you have a bunch of other people throughout the movie that are saying the same things like how does it feel to die or like you just
mhm.
you're a deadbeat anyway. So it really does confuse me on why that's even like a
I do
character.
love that he starts to care about his life the moment he sees
That's and
himself.
that's what I meant when I said it works thematic purposes, but it feels like venturing sometimes. That's just and
Sometimes, yeah.
again, these are little gripes because Stephen Yeun's not in the movie for more than like
Also, that girl
8-10
scientist,
minutes. Like
you're my goat. That girl scientist is the goat. Love her.
yes, and
Queen.
that
Queen.
yeah. Dang, I'm glad you brought that up because I actually feel like they did some good setting up with her, which I feel like that should have been how they handled Stephen Yeun's character was the way
I
they
do
handled her
agree that
character.
relationship never really went. It never felt like a good, like a satisfying conclusion, whether good or bad. I will say the third act of this movie, I
So
absolutely
good,
loved.
so good.
The ending, not my favorite. I'm not like the ending was all right. I do think the ending played it so
Safe.
it played it so safe, but in a what's the word I'm looking for? It starts with the A, ambiguous, and then like they left it pretty ambiguous, but in the most safe way. And I mean, I kind of
The
left the
ending
theater going
really
like,
feels like some Fallout shit. Like
yeah,
it,
I was curious what was gonna
there's a lot of
happen.
this movie, and I mean, granted, the themes in Fallout are very similar to the themes in this movie, like super similar in terms of life and trying to preserve life and trying not to preserve certain life. Yeah, but overall, I mean, I really like this movie. I think more people should be talking about Naomi Ackie in this movie because I think
I do agree. She
she
was
provides some
phenomenal.
moments in this movie that just straight up like Robert Pattinson get away from the screen. We're on Naomi Ackie, and that's crazy to think about.
She was
That's crazy
powerful.
to think about. She was so good. She was so convincing.
I didn't
Um,
expect it to be so like not emotional, but like it was like pulling my heartstrings quite a bit. I didn't expect it to get to that point. I expected something poignant, of course, something
yeah,
that has an impact, but I did not expect to like genuinely care about
yeah.
this
At the
love,
ending,
this
when
romance
at the ending when
between
he's holding
three
that thing and she's
people.
telling him press the red button, I was low key like
Yeah.
tearing up. I was like, Bong Joon-ho. Like, I love you, bro. Like, I love the way you do things, bro. Like, it's just it's so good. I like this movie. I think it's my second favorite movie of the year so far, right behind Ninja 2.
Yeah, me too.
4 out of 5 stars as well. Again, go see it if you haven't already.
Yeah,
go see
highly
it in a
recommend.
premium format, actually.
Please.
Because, bro, the visuals here and the VFX, I think you'll really enjoy it.
Dude, the whole movie
IMAX,
was in IMAX, wasn't it?
No. I don't think it was.
I did not notice it when
I
it
think
was.
a lot of it was, though. I think that's why you didn't notice.
Maybe, yeah.
Most of it was. But yeah, in IMAX, it looks absolutely beautiful. I like the soundtrack at points. It feels like kind of fun and upbeat, and at points it's like perfectly like bittersweet. Again, I like what this movie was doing. I feel like if Bong Joon-ho had like 10-15 less minutes on this movie, I feel like it could like really be something that would have gotten a lot more critical,
more buzz, just more buzz overall,
just more buzz, and more like I feel like more critics would have liked it. I just feel like portions in this movie where it takes its time is where some critics were probably not feeling it, and that kind of makes you, when you're watching a movie, that makes you not
who feel personally attacked because of the subject matter. Yeah. Don't forget those. But yeah, we thoroughly enjoyed Mickey 17. If you guys saw Mickey 17, please tell us in the comments below.
Who do you like better, Mickey 17 or
Mickey 17 or Mickey 18? Me personally, I like them both together.
Personally, I'm a 19 kind of guy.
I'm a 19.
You don't know that yet. So.
I mean, yeah, I enjoyed it, obviously. I also gave it 4 stars. And yeah, thoroughly enjoyed it in the premium format. I mean, it was visually, just amazing. Robert Pattinson's delivering 2 characters that feel so distinct, but also have like huge personalities. It's not like one's just angry, grumpy, and the other one's
like
happy,
the world.
sad.
Like the world.
I like the world
distinct,
as well. It feels very
specific in it too.
Even down to things like that they wear. There's so much fun to be had here. And while, sure, it might feel a bit longer than it is, it's not like a huge detriment to the movie. I still walked out very much enjoying what I watched. Had a really great scene
will be talked about years from now, by the way.
I really love it.
Let's get that over. That dinner scene is
Collette,
iconic.
as always, is just amazing.
There's
love
some iconography and imagery
so
in this movie that's just, I mean, Bong Joon-ho, man, you're never gonna miss that when it comes to a Bong Joon-ho film.
Yeah,
so
he has not missed for me. Obviously, I think I've only seen 3 of his movies. I have not seen Parasite. I will react to that for the channel. But yeah, I really enjoyed it. You guys tell us in the comments below if you saw Mickey 17. What did you think about it? If you haven't, do you plan on seeing it? We both highly recommend you go see this movie. But yeah, go ahead and let us know your thoughts down in the comments below. But that's gonna do it for the, I think, 16th episode of the Double Feature Podcast. We're getting into it now. We're starting to get into it now. I really like this. Yeah, obviously, as always, let us know your thoughts on all the topics that we shared. And if you made it this far, what are you doing? You just heard us for well over an hour. What are you doing? Like the video, subscribe, and click that bell if you watch this type of content. That way you're notified. But yeah, you can follow our socials, obviously. Our handles are right below us. You can send a question using that link at the bottom of the screen. But other than that, it's me, boy Keezy.
Me, boy Kels.
And hopefully we see you guys in the next one.